Welcome back to our channel World of Royals.
One of my biggest regrets.
Oprah Winfrey says she feels partly responsible. And one of her biggest regrets, she says, was
when you have been lied about for a series of years, how hurtful that is. So imagine that for over a period of months and years, and you know that it isn't true.
She, quote, deeply regrets the royal racist controversy and is very sorry. What do you make of that? All of these regrets, isn't it too late?
The woman who once elevated Meghan Markle to global prominence has dramatically reversed course. Oprah Winfrey, television's most influential figure, whose landmark 2021 conversation with Meghan and Prince Harry captivated the world, delivered an unexpected confession that's
important thing for them. Before I do any interview, I have a conversation with whoever I'm interviewing and ask, tell me what your intention is, and I will tell you what my intention is, and let's see if we can align those two, because I don't want you to finish an interview and at the end of the interview say, I wish I had
stunned millions. This wasn't a minor clarification, it was a complete reversal. Oprah revealed she felt deceived, manipulated, and ensnared in a narrative that unraveled under closer examination. In a moment of raw honesty, she dismantled the carefully constructed image Meghan had cultivated. But they didn't end there. She extended a public apology to Catherine, Princess of Wales, the very woman Meghan had been positioned against in the court of public opinion. This single
the color of the baby's skin.
Yeah.
You asked Harry about it when he came out. He did not tell you who it was. Harry still is choosing to protect the identity of whoever that was.
Yes, and he did not share the identity with me that it was not his grandmother nor his grandfather that were a part of those conversations.
Gesture tore through years of carefully managed storytelling. Picture your most trusted advocate suddenly withdrawing support and declaring the entire situation was misunderstood. This transcends mere correction. It represents complete demolition. Oprah systematically challenged the key claims in a live broadcast, while Catherine maintained dignified silence, yet emerged with unprecedented strength. The already tense relationship between Meghan and the royal family.
This preposterous pair sitting down, giving that interview, that awful interview to Oprah Winfrey, calling the royal family racists, false.
There's a conversation with you,
with Harry,
about how dark your baby is going to be?
Potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Escalated to new heights, because betrayal from an ally inflicts far deeper wounds than opposition from adversaries. For years, Oprah's endorsement served as the ultimate validation. Her approval could reshape public discourse overnight, and her platform wielded the power to influence global conversations.
Wife is not visibly black, but that's who she is. The way that they speak about her and the way they treat her is incredibly relatable to everybody else of color.
When you have been lied about for a series of years, how hurtful that is.
In 2021, Meghan entered that historic interview prepared to present her perspective, and the world listened intently because Oprah provided the microphone. That interview transcended mere television. It became a defining cultural watershed that dominated conversations worldwide. But now, in a dramatic reversal, the same voice that amplified Meghan's narrative has publicly stepped back. Oprah didn't quietly distance herself. She stated on air that she harbored deep regrets about how events unfolded and wished she had pressed harder for verification. She admitted she should have questioned more rigorously, fact-checked more
Doing an interview to offer them a platform to tell their story about why they left. And that was my number one intention, was just clarity on why did you leave? And so some of the things that were revealed in that interview came as a surprise to me, and those surprises are now referred to as bombs.
Thoroughly, and prevented the situation from developing as it did. For someone commanding Oprah's level of cultural influence, making such a public admission carries immense weight. Delivering it on television makes it explosive. What intensifies the sting is how close their relationship once appeared. Meghan wasn't simply another interview subject. She was embraced warmly, granted implicit trust, treated almost as extended family. This history makes the reversal particularly devastating. This wasn't criticism from a detractor. It came from someone who once stood firmly in her corner. Oprah looked directly into the camera and confessed she felt personally misled, not merely professionally disappointed. The tone carried emotional weight, direct, serious, and unmistakably authentic. She explained her trust had been.
People say reconciliation, reconciliation. We hope the brothers reconcile. What do you say?
I do not get into people's family matters. Nobody consults me about their family business, so I try to stay out of people's family business.
Utilized in ways she never anticipated. That singular admission fractured the foundation of Meghan's public credibility. The significance? Oprah isn't a tabloid host chasing sensational headlines. Her reputation has been meticulously built on integrity, trustworthiness, and genuine authenticity. When she suggested the information she received didn't fully align with reality, it transcended drama. It became a public reckoning that transformed the entire conversation overnight. Ruthless captures it perfectly. Oprah didn't claim simple error. She stated she felt manipulated. That characterization struck like thunder because it portrayed Meghan Markle as orchestrating a calculated sympathy campaign with Oprah trapped in the crossfire. Oprah even acknowledged, "I should have seen through it, but I chose to believe her. That was my mistake." The implication was unmistakable. Meghan presented her version, but Oprah gave it worldwide amplification through her platform. That confession wasn't merely uncomfortable. It was reputation-shattering, raw, and irreversible once broadcast. When Oprah transitioned from emotional reflection to concrete specifics, the entire atmosphere transformed instantly. This evolved from an apology into a systematic deconstruction of Meghan's most publicized claims. Beginning with the bridesmaid dress controversy that had cast Catherine, Princess of Wales, as cold and unreasonable, Oprah clarified that both women experienced distress, and the situation had been far more balanced than public perception suggested. With one explanation, years of damaging headlines suddenly appeared questionable, and Catherine's reputation underwent overnight rehabilitation. Then came the delicate matter of alleged prejudice within the palace. Oprah explained it had been
Anybody who has experienced some challenges in their families with in-laws or brothers or sisters knows how difficult some of those situations can be. And I'm sure that, for the royal family, it's
described as a single private remark, not the institutional accusation many had interpreted. That clarification alone stunned audiences because it fundamentally altered how serious allegations were being understood. And Oprah continued. She described how assistance had reportedly been extended, resources, guidance, support for adjusting to royal protocols. Yet the situation had subsequently been framed publicly in starkly different terms. The implication proved inescapable. Facts may have been recontoured to reinforce a predetermined narrative, by the time Oprah concluded. The storyline Meghan had depended upon for years appeared significantly less solid and far more complex under examination. Then Oprah pivoted, and the contrast became impossible to overlook. Without dramatic declarations or emotional revelations, Catherine had quietly earned public respect through unwavering consistency and composed dignity. Oprah described her as authentic, steady, and resilient, praise that resonated more powerfully because it followed criticism of Meghan's approach. The timing amplified the intensity because Catherine had recently confronted a serious health crisis with quiet strength and privacy. While Catherine concentrated on recovery and family, Meghan's public presence continued with polished social media content and lifestyle branding, creating a contrast viewers couldn't ignore. One woman appeared focused on personal challenges, the other on public visibility. And Oprah highlighted that distinction explicitly. She called Catherine a symbol of hope, while Meghan's image suddenly felt more performative by comparison. The most powerful element. Catherine never responded at all. Her silence conveyed more impact than any statement could achieve. And in that moment, public attention shifted dramatically. For Meghan, the damage wasn't merely losing Oprah's public endorsement. It was witnessing Catherine emerge as the figure commanding greater public trust. Oprah's reversal didn't simply generate headlines. It undermined the foundation Meghan had constructed over years. That original interview had served as her most powerful evidence of credibility, the moment that validated her narrative worldwide. Now, the same source that elevated her story was questioning it, and that reversal changed everything fundamentally. That interview had functioned as Meghan Markle's shield for years, her defense against critics, her proof of unfair treatment. The instant Oprah Winfrey publicly questioned it, that shield didn't merely crack, it shattered completely. Every argument Meghan had relied upon suddenly appeared weaker, because the same person who once amplified her voice was now challenging the story itself. What made the impact even more devastating was the power dynamic. Meghan's strategy had always centered on narrative control, getting her version public first before anyone else could shape it. But once Oprah spoke out, that control evaporated rapidly. Meghan couldn't easily reframe or dismiss it because the words weren't coming from a critic. They came from someone who had once stood beside her and risked her own credibility to support her. This wasn't simple exposure. It was a credibility collapse unfolding in real time. People who had defended Meghan began questioning everything, while skeptics suddenly felt validated in public discourse. That combination proves brutal because it inverts perception overnight. Meghan wasn't only confronting criticism, she was experiencing distance from supporters. And when that distance originates from the person who helped build your platform, the dissent feels immediate and severe. The timing intensified everything further. Meghan had been orchestrating a meticulously planned relaunch. Refined branding, curated social media presence, lifestyle content designed to signal a fresh chapter. Her team suggested a reinvented image, a comeback narrative poised to launch. Then suddenly, Oprah's comments cut straight through the momentum in a single broadcast, redirecting attention completely. Instead of headlines celebrating Meghan's new ventures, the conversation exploded around Oprah's revelations. Clips proliferated across digital platforms, analysis flooded media outlets, and the comeback narrative was buried beneath controversy. It resembled climbing halfway up a ladder only to have it yanked away without warning. Public reaction sharpened the contrast further. While Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued receiving sympathy and admiration for her quiet strength during personal challenges, Meghan's polished posts began feeling disconnected to many observers. Polls and commentary revealed public sentiment diverging in opposite directions, widening the perception gap dramatically. This wasn't random misfortune. It felt like devastating timing. Oprah's words didn't merely create headlines. They obliterated the momentum Meghan had been building before it could fully materialize. Months of strategic planning appeared overshadowed in a single night, leaving Meghan watching events unfold largely beyond her control. Media coverage amplified everything exponentially. Networks replayed Oprah's comments continuously. Headlines framed the situation as a watershed moment, and social media transformed clips into viral phenomena within hours. What stood out most was the silence. Meghan, typically quick to respond, didn't immediately counter the narrative, and that absence only intensified speculation. Online comparisons spread rapidly, juxtaposing Catherine's composed public appearances against Meghan's curated content, and the discussion developed its own momentum. Even longtime supporters appeared uncertain, unsure how to defend her when the person who once backed her most strongly had withdrawn support. The fallout didn't stop with headlines. It began infiltrating every dimension of Meghan Markle's public image. Brand analysts, media strategists, and casual observers alike began asking the same question. If Oprah Winfrey was stepping back, what implications existed for everything else Meghan had constructed? That species of doubt spreads rapidly, and once initiated, it becomes nearly impossible to contain. For years, Meghan's greatest asset was perception, the understanding that she commanded powerful allies and cultural influence. But influence operates bidirectionally. When support shifts, the impact strikes with doubled force. Suddenly, partnerships appeared more cautious, public reactions more skeptical, and every new initiative she launched faced intensified scrutiny. Momentum doesn't merely decelerate in moments like this, it stalls entirely. Meanwhile, the contrast with Catherine, Princess of Wales, continued expanding without deliberate effort. Catherine remained focused on family, recovery, and duty, projecting composure and groundedness in public moments. That quiet consistency forged a powerful image, not because she was competing, but precisely because she wasn't. Ironically, that made the comparison resonate even more powerfully in the public consciousness. Within media circles, the conversation shifted from sympathy to credibility. Commentators began revisiting past claims, previous interviews, and earlier controversies, re-examining them through a new analytical lens. Once that door opens, it rarely closes quickly. Narratives that once seemed settled suddenly appeared uncertain, and Meghan found herself confronting questions she believed were already resolved. What made the situation even more challenging was the emotional dimension. Oprah had once embodied validation, a symbol that Meghan's voice mattered on the global stage. Losing that visible alignment wasn't merely strategic damage, it carried profound personal weight. Public perception frequently follows emotional currents, and people could sense the shift immediately. And here's the reality that intensified everything. Reputations aren't destroyed overnight, but they can pivot direction overnight. One pivotal moment, one unexpected reversal, and years of carefully constructed positioning can begin sliding in a different trajectory. Meghan wasn't simply managing criticism anymore. She was managing uncertainty. And uncertainty represents the most difficult element to control when your entire brand depends on trust. The narrative and support slipped completely beyond Meghan Markle's control. The most striking element? Catherine, Princess of Wales, did absolutely nothing. No statements, no responses, no social media posts, just silence. Yet somehow that silence amplified the contrast even further, making Catherine appear composed and secure while Meghan seemed pressured and cornered by circumstances. For someone whose public identity has always been intertwined with controlling attention, losing that spotlight so visibly proved harsh. This transcended mere criticism. It felt like humiliation unfolding in real time, the variety that embeds itself in public memory long after headlines fade. The twist intensified everything because the turning point originated from someone once considered her strongest ally. This didn't feel like random controversy. It felt like a full-circle moment. Back in 2021, Meghan utilized Oprah Winfrey's platform to share her perspective with the world, transforming that stage into her most potent instrument. Now, years later, that identical connection became the force most severely undermining her credibility. The symmetry proved impossible to ignore. The person who helped elevate her narrative also became the one questioning it. This wasn't about fortune. It was about perception shifting dramatically. Meghan had aligned herself with Oprah, believing that connection would provide enduring protection from criticism. Instead, Oprah's public reflections made Meghan appear more vulnerable than ever, like a strategy that backfired at the most catastrophic moment possible. The reality sharpened the situation even further. Catherine didn't need to respond. The palace didn't need to intervene. The media didn't need to search for new angles. The momentum transformed from within Meghan's own circle, delivered by the one voice she couldn't easily dismiss. That's why numerous observers characterized it as the ultimate betrayal. Because when opposition originates externally, recovery remains possible. But when doubt emerges from inside your support system, the impact penetrates far deeper. It wasn't that Meghan's image was attacked overtly. It felt like it weakened from internal fractures. And once public trust begins eroding, rebuilding it becomes exponentially more difficult. The same platform where Meghan once celebrated global validation now carried an entirely different resonance. That reversal alone transformed how people interpreted everything that preceded it. Catherine remained steady. The palace maintained quiet. And the shift unfolded publicly through Oprah's words, leaving Meghan scrambling for solid ground. When the person who helped architect your public image begins questioning it, the impact isn't temporary. It leaves an indelible mark on perception. Here's where the story takes another unexpected turn. This wasn't the first time Meghan's reputation confronted turbulence. Because if Oprah's comments shocked observers, what followed stirred even greater attention when Thomas Markle finally spoke openly about their complicated history, layering additional complexity onto a narrative already under intense scrutiny. Just when it seemed the situation couldn't grow more intricate, a new voice entered the conversation, originating from within the family. Thomas Markle, long recognized for his fractured relationship with Meghan Markle, stepped forward with comments that reignited public curiosity dramatically. Family tensions invariably carry messiness, but when they unfold under global attention, every word carries exponential weight, and this instance proved no different. He discussed past disagreements, missed connections, and his perspective on how events developed over the years, painting a picture that added further dimensions to an already complex narrative. Regardless of whether people agreed with him, the impact was immediate. Headlines erupted, commentators mobilized, and suddenly Meghan confronted another wave of scrutiny from a direction she couldn't easily dismiss. What amplified the impact was the timing. Public perception was already shifting following recent events. Now this personal angle injected emotional intensity into the conversation. Family disputes tend to provoke stronger reactions because they feel more intimate than public controversies. That emotional component amplified everything overnight. Supporters and critics alike began debating who was justified, who was misunderstood, and what genuinely transpired behind closed doors. The situation also reinforced a pattern many observers had been discussing. That Meghan's story was being shaped not solely by media narratives, but also by people close to her speaking publicly. When external critics speak, dismissal comes easier. But when someone from your own family shares their perspective, it creates an entirely different species of pressure. That dynamic made the conversation feel more complicated and harder to control. And once again, the spotlight shifted in a direction Meghan didn't fully command. Instead of focusing on future projects or public appearances, attention circled back to past conflicts and unresolved relationships. In the realm of public image, momentum is everything, and moments like this can divert focus from carefully planned objectives in an instant. If this analysis shifted your perspective, subscribe and stay engaged for more in-depth explorations like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who needs this insight.